there was a car in space.
Film is a medium that transports. All I have to do is pop myself in front of the TV to watch a movie, and I can just enjoy it, whatever place the film takes me to.
Movies have always been an escape. It gives you a whole new world to be in.
I have a rekindled love affair with movies.
Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of Real to Real Talk. I am Sergio Barrera, and it's time once again to talk movies. Joining me, as always, are the other Real to Real talkers, Susan Chisholm and Paul Britton. Guys,
yeah,
episode 75. We will have a bit of a little celebration later, but today we tackle one of the most important and influential episodes of our 75 episode reign as we talk about one of the most influential and important franchises of modern times. Right up there with the 13th Warrior. As we talk the Fast and Furious franchise, which, guys, they should just call the more ridiculous every time a movie comes out.
How dumb can we get? That's what they should just call it. How dumb can we possibly make this thing and have people still showing up in theaters and not be like, all right, this is just fucking dumb.
To the tune of a $70 million opening.
I know.
I mean,
fucking.
Hey, I loved it. Anyway.
Did you?
We'll get to that in just a bit.
Okay.
As part of our discussion here, as we talk about the Fast and Furious franchise, we will, of course, review the latest installment, F9, the Fast Saga. I've seen so many different titles.
Yeah, it's called F9, the Fast Saga. That's
it's like
the official.
Yeah. And do you know, let me just tell you real quick, did you know that I was like last week years old when I realized that they used the word fate in part 8 because the fate of the Furious, and I didn't get that until so
you're special.
Wow.
So much to talk about. So here we are.
On the dark side.
Our friend Biffer the Hobbit has already weighed in. Fast and Furious, the Olive Garden of movie franchises, he says. When you're here, your family.
Nice. It's I'm gonna differ with Biffer and say it is actually the Applebee's of movie franchises, because Olive Garden, at least you get free breadsticks. Like, there's nothing remotely as satisfying as free breadsticks from the Fast and Furious.
So I was thinking that you were gonna say,
I like the when you're with family, though. That's good.
I was thinking that you were going to say it's the Applebee's because there are a whole lot of them. They're everywhere, and nobody really asked for them.
That's factually correct as well.
Yeah,
and you have a really good chance of dying when you go there, but don't worry, they'll bring you back to life.
So there you go. Absolutely. The Fast and Furious franchise has been with us now for almost, I want to say,
too long,
20 years. My point being that this is a franchise that just keeps on giving, even though we don't necessarily keep on wanting. And so as we prepared to talk about F9, the Fast Saga, I thought we would take a little bit of a trip back. Susan, you're lucky enough to not have seen, or correct me if I'm wrong, have you seen any of these films?
I am not going to answer that question.
Because I should know the answer?
That's wonderful podcasting and conversation.
But also because it'll come into play later on.
Oh, okay. Well, and so, Paul, you and I recently did a mad dash through the first 8.
Yes.
9 if you count the spinoff.
I do.
Which, ironically enough, I had seen the spinoff and no other installments.
Right.
Let's just go on the record as saying that Susan and I went to watch the movie together.
Okay.
And I kept whispering to her, they started out as street racers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie and say, like, I was completely shocked by what happened because I wasn't.
So, all right.
What
Yeah,
was
so
this?
I had purposefully avoided these movies
Yeah.
just so that we're clear. Like, there was no reason to see the first one because I don't like street racing and I don't give a crap about cars. And then
Okay.
the second one looked terrible, and it turned out it was. And the third
Okay.
one looked just absurd and terrible, which again it was. And then the fourth one, when they bring what's his name back, Vin Diesel back, it was just like, okay, well, I've already missed the first three. I'm not about to jump in at number 4. But then we started doing this podcast, and so and F9 was coming. I was like, oh God, I can't. I have to do it. I have to do it.
We suffer for our art.
We do. Like this podcast is the only reason I've ever seen any Fast and the Furious movie. Like I can tell you right now, if we weren't having this conversation right now, I would still be sitting here a Fast and Furious virgin. So
yeah. Well, and I'll also admit that if it hadn't been for this show and the fact that there was going to be another installment, I would probably not have either. And I think it's fair to say you and I took two different paths in terms of our enjoyment of them. I got into them eventually. We spoke in a previous episode about how the first 3 were ridiculous.
Right.
And the thing that from 4 on, including the film we'll talk about here in a bit, I have to say that the fact that they embrace the ridiculous,
yes,
in the way that they do, I think does deserve some commendation.
4 through 7, there is some level of enjoyment. I genuinely enjoyed 5 and 7.
Okay,
just flat out. If somebody said, "Hey, I'm putting in F5 or whatever it's called," I'd be like, "Cool." Or if I'm putting in number 7, I'd be cool. And if somebody said, "We're stuck in this house and there's a hurricane coming and we might as well watch 5 through 7, so including 6," I'd be like, "Okay, cool." But anything other like, I don't feel a need to revisit 4. I don't feel a need to ever revisit 8. I felt like 8 was just kind of like, like that. It was like 5 was like such a huge plateau for the franchise for me, from my standpoint. And then 6 was like a letdown. And then 7 was like, oh, it's almost as good as 5, but not quite. And then 8 was just like back down with 4, where it was just like, there's some good things going on, but then there's just some stuff that it's just like this, like, I don't mind that they have a cable flip a tank. All right. You can have a cable flip a tank. That's fine. I mind when there's ridiculous plot crap going on that just is completely inexplicable and unbiased.
Oh, sure. Which is what these movies are full of.
Well, no, I don't. I slightly disagree.
8 and 9.
What's that? Yes, 8 and 9. That's what 8 and 9 are. Like, it's like you had me with ridiculous things like a cable flipping a tank and Vin Diesel jumping through midair and catching people and constantly catching people with his car.
Well, okay.
Like,
like
that's a catcher's mitt. Like it's a net. His
but
car
how
is a
about
net.
the fact that that in every single film, this guy goes through some form of rollover accident, and comes out unscathed.
At least at the beginning, like they went through the motions of putting on the heavy duty like strap in stuff. Like he never wore a seatbelt during the F9. At no point was he wearing a seatbelt. And the bus flip over thing in
5.
In 5, and I want to reiterate, I actually did like 5, but except for like the bus flip over thing is that, and it's like in the news they make a point of saying, and nobody was nobody was injured. Like
no fatalities.
What? Nobody.
What are you talking about? That's the thing. If there is any enjoyment to these movies, it's you're a hardcore action movie fan that just really is able to separate and put on that suspension of disbelief, because there's so many things that from an action standpoint, it's like, what are we talking about here? To the point where by the time we get to the 9th movie and things happen that are so immensely ridiculous, you're like, sure, because where else can they go?
Well,
Of course they're going to go to space. I mean, it's just they've embraced the ridiculousness, and they've embraced it fully.
And honestly, like, okay, so I'm going to give a brief rundown of like the conversation that you and I had, Sergio, on the way to the movie or the way back from the movie. I can't remember. You had to like sit there and break down everything. And
it was after.
like, and it was my reaction. Like I was sitting there thinking about how I was reacting to things in the movie and like, okay. Because I did have a couple of moments where I was just like, yeah, sure, why not? Of course, yeah, okay, that's totally gonna happen. That's totally realistic. But like, there you go.
I mean,
it's a thing.
The thing, you know, action aside from all of these films, the stories. Okay, there's at least common threads. Grace at the table.
No, there's not. Okay.
There's at least, you know, there are what are uniquely Fast and Furious tropes, right?
Okay.
But
catching
the stories,
people with cars.
The say again?
Catching people with cars.
Catching people with cars. Yeah. Big things getting flipped. That happened in this movie too.
Yep.
But it's just I guess what I've learned is you have to figure out how you're going to approach these films if you're going to really enjoy them. Because you either give into the action and go, okay, this is going to be bigger. This has to be bigger and better than the last one for me to even feel like it was worth my time. Because I'm not going to these movies for story. And, here's the other trope. Enemy turned friend. Family, sorry. Enemy turned family.
No. And that wasn't even
single film.
They got through 5 without that happening. They got through 7 without that happening.
Holistic. Oh, come on. What are you talking about? Statham was Owen's brother.
But you don't find, but he was the enemy throughout the movie. He doesn't become a friend until the following franchise. Like, so like they didn't even give us one full movie with shitty what's his face, who I hate, being a bad guy. They gave us an hour of shitty what's his face being a bad guy, and then all of a sudden he's family again.
Are we talking about this last film?
Yeah, who's
John
the
Cena?
new guy?
John Cena.
John Cena. I fucking hate that guy. I hate him so much.
Keep John Cena a villain throughout the entire film.
He sucks though. No, he sucks. Oh god.
The world, as someone who follows the world of pro wrestling has been waiting for John Cena to be a villain in wrestling. You're not going to do it in the Fast and Furious 9 movie. He had to become good. And listen. I hate him so much. If there's something I give credit to this 9th movie for, is that it gave us some cool look backs to things that had only been mentioned, like way back in film 1, why Dom went to jail.
Yeah,
you know, that was cool. Yeah. But oh my gosh, it was just like let's just get to cars and explosions. Like let's get to cars and explosions because that's what I'm here for. Oh, in space. Okay, cool. Yeah, that too. Like.
Oh god, I hate John Cena. I cannot.
He has that Vin Diesel like stare.
No, he doesn't.
Down. Yeah,
that's just I don't know how to act, and I am looking at things.
I mentioned this to you, Sergio. I have a beef with Vin Diesel big time, and it came out so big in this movie. He talks so fucking slow for no reason.
It's why this movie's 2.5 hours long.
He's like, and his mouth is too small for his face. So he's like, I'm gonna get him. We're gonna do it.
That's actually a shockingly good Vin Diesel physical representation. That's fantastic.
His mouth is like so tight. I was like, how does that sound like? How he has? And it's just, and he talks so slow, and I'm like, can you
you on Cena?
Paul, I have to ask you this. Did you ever see the any of the movies in the Triple X franchise with
I saw the first Triple X movie. I remember seeing it. I was super excited about it. And
did you get already ridiculous? I don't know why, but in the scene where they get to the location, Helen Mirren drops off Vin Diesel, and it's that party where everyone's in white.
Yeah.
except for him, of course.
Right.
I was like, oh my God, if Samuel L. Jackson walks out and they do a Xander Cage like connection here, it would not be unwelcome, because I'm like, of course, like that's why he disappeared. Because they're all super spies now.
Okay.
So-
Yeah. It's just
like,
because
what a crossover
who are
moment
you
that was
going to
passed up.
recruit to be super spies but street racers?
Right. Oh man. I mean,
I just
Oh.
and I
what can you say?
I just look. I love action movies. I really liked 5 and 7, like I've said before. 6 was watchable.
Yeah.
I hated this movie. Like I hated everything about this movie.
I knew you would.
I just and I did not go into it wanting to hate it. I went into it wanting to like it. I went into every single Fast and Furious movie wanting to hate them all. But I liked 5 and 7. So like they know how to make a decent movie with these
Sure.
characters, and they failed miserably.
Because they trapped themselves into by 8, it's so super crazy that what are you left with but to try to outdo what was done before?
Or maybe you just give me another heist movie where you drag a safe down the street, but instead of dragging a safe down the street, drag it into space. I will forgive that. But
Oh my God.
that's it. Like
Yeah.
you do not need to add another character. And 2, another character that can't act. It's like they got rid of the acting weak link. Unfortunately, God rest your soul, Mr. Paul and Brian, and I apologize, and it's too soon, I know, but he was a horrible actor. Okay, he was just horrible, and John Cena is worse. And it's like we didn't need that.
John Cena's worse.
We don't need John Cena should not be getting acting jobs. There are capable actors, big, burly, beefy ones that are actually actors.
Do you know why John Cena got this role?
What's that? Yeah, he
got it. Do you know why John Cena got this role?
He got it because he was a wrestler.
No, he got it because he went to someone and said, "Well, The Rock got to be in this movie." He's been pursuing Dwayne The Rock Johnson as part of his legacy for a long time now.
But The Rock is endearing and personable, which are two things you cannot say about John Cena. And I don't know anything about wrestling, but I can't imagine that this is a person that came up in wrestling. He has no personality. How did he?
Well, and see, that was his shtick. He was a very polarizing figure in wrestling. You hated him or you loved him, and so
why? Why do people love him?
He was for a significant portion of the early 2000s one of the biggest draws, almost as much as Steve Austin and The Rock. He was their big money guy for the WWE.
But
so
do they acknowledge that he has no personality whatsoever? Like literally none.
It's different in the wrestling world because it's more talk. When he's put into the confines of a script and a film, he can't act his way out of a paper bag. That's not what he's being asked to do in the world of wrestling. But, again, it's hard to explain unless you have a frame of reference for it. But having seen him in his element, pro wrestling, and in films, he's yet to impress me the way someone like a Dave Bautista, who came from the wrestling world, or Dwayne Johnson, these are guys who embraced, there's another Adam Copeland, he's wrestled under the name Edge. They studied the craft.
Yeah.
John Cena's a name that gets put into a film, and that's supposed to be a big deal. But then you see him talk, and you're like, okay, let's go back to the scene where the car's in space. So.
I hated that scene so much because there's somebody in the car who is trying to convince us that everything will be okay because of science, when in reality, because of science, none of this is going to be okay.
Susan?
Okay. I have been completely quiet about my feelings on the entire movie because I came into this knowing that it was going to be ridiculous, and I was not disappointed. I went in and I told you I was going in with no expectations so that I would not be disappointed, and I can tell you I was not disappointed. And my reactions of course, Of course, like that makes perfect sense. We're like me going into it with an open mind, but how there's so many things like you can suspend what is it, the disbelief of reality. Like it's just not there are points when I'm just like, okay, you can stop now.
I wish they had.
The eye
Oh.
rolling, and you told me
I warned
I
you.
would, yeah, I would have to go see an eye doctor to have my eye bulbs pulled out of the back of my skull because I'd be rolling them so hard. And it was freaking brilliant, and I loved it. And you know how I feel about action, like mindless action films. You both do.
Yeah.
If you go in expecting the ridiculous, it entertains and it delivers. But
100%.
I'll tell you this: I ain't excited about 10 because it's like, why? It continues. It's not telling a story that is worth following the way the Marvel movies did or other franchises. It just, it's just what can we do to top it next? That's why all these talks, people have been joking around. I think they're joking about a Jurassic Park crossover. Like that's been a big conversation point with this franchise.
Right.
I hope not. But if they do, guess who's gonna be there?
John Cena.
He's gonna be the new what is it, Chris Pratt guy?
Rex?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, there you go. You don't need to act to be a Tyrannosaurus Rex. You just need to be there
He'd
and
be
stare.
John Cena Rex. It's ridiculous.
I understand.
That's the point.
I understand that. And even 8 in its ridiculousness was like, okay. There were some things in 8 that I really liked. Jason Statham running through a plane carrying a baby was really endearing and entertaining.
Absolutely.
Okay. It was ridiculous. But it was, it was ridiculous. But I liked it. And I even got the Vin Diesel turn, the heel turn, and that worked as on some level as a plot device. Nothing in this movie worked as a plot device.
Oh, I agree.
Nothing in this movie was entertaining or fun. I know people are like, oh well, it's just fun and you have to go in, and it's like, no, there was nothing fun about this movie. There just wasn't anything fun about this movie. For fuck's sake, the guy that they had playing young Vin Diesel, and the guy who they had playing young John Cena, they were a foot different in height. Are we to believe that young Vin Diesel, or Mr. Toretto, the patriarch of this mess, let his pubescent son work on his car in the pit, and because John Cena still had a foot of growing left to do, because now Vin Diesel and John Cena are the exact same height. It's that sloppy bullshit that it's like, enough. I can't deal with this movie.
I'm amazed that you went in expecting that much. I really am.
Yes. Look, again, I genuinely liked 5 and 7.
Yeah.
Why can't I get more 5 and 7?
Gotcha. I see what you're saying.
Okay. And bringing Han back. What?
Had they not blown that in the trailers, I would have been a little bit like, because Han is one of my favorite characters in this franchise.
Okay,
he really is. But they had already given it away in the trailer, so you're like, okay, Han's back. And then again, remember what I'm saying. I enjoyed it for what it was, but if I sit here and break it apart, for plot.
No, because there's no point in doing that. Because
let me finish my thought. Let me finish my thought.
Go ahead.
If I break it down to the level that you did, Paul, to come up with a judgment about this film, I will say honestly, I would have hated this movie, but I didn't allow myself to do that because I knew I didn't want to hate the movie.
Okay.
I like it for the action sequences. I like it for the ridiculous storytelling. I like it for the fact that it embraced. This franchise has decided we will be as ridiculous as possible, and we will top it next time. I want to be in the writing room when these decisions are made. But again, that's why my judgment of this film is not based on breaking down does the plot make sense? Do the characters get developed? Of course they don't.
I don't need it to make sense, or I need it to be remotely plausible. Like five.
No!
and seven.
I don't need that.
Well,
No, you don't though.
But here's the thing: is
How
in
can it
5
be?
they were dragging a safe through the streets using 2 chargers. That's impossible. I still loved it. It didn't matter. But and in 7, like, the best thing, the best 10 minutes of, or 5 minutes of any of the series is the opening 5 minutes of 7. The opening 5 minutes of 7 are so good, where Jason Statham is just like they introduce him in the wake of having destroyed an entire army hospital or something. That was fantastic. There was and there is a line of enjoyment, stupid, and just stupid that it is literally belittling the audience, and
Sure.
5 and 7 are enjoyment stupid. 8 toes the line with half of its foot in enjoyment stupid and half of its foot in you're just a bunch of fucking idiots and here enjoy. And 9 is just full bore. You're a bunch of fucking idiots. Let's see if you come back for 10 after this piece of shit. Well, and I'm sorry, I'm not coming back for 10 after this piece of shit. I don't care what's going on. Like, I will never see another one of these because of how bad this piece of shit was. It was so dumb.
I get what you're saying, but I don't know that it's the franchise powers that be saying that people are idiots. It's them saying, because here, listen, if we looked at this from the standpoint you're coming from, then the problem with this franchise is they didn't stop at 7, because 7 had a very good ending. Yeah. Albeit sadly because of the loss of Paul Walker, right?
Right.
But it had a very nice bookend ending.
Right.
So then they decide to do 8. They pushed the envelope so far that of course, but again, as someone who watches action movies of all types, I wouldn't say that they're thinking we're idiots. They're just saying, will you come and be entertained again? And whether you are or aren't is our own individual decision. The fact that they decided to pursue that even further with this one, and that they most likely will with the next one, okay, that's their I don't think it's that they're thinking we're idiots. I think they're giving us the opportunity to choose whether or not we'll continue.
Sergio.
So I'm just saying, let's not assume that this is about
in less than 24 hours. In less than 24 hours, they had a car in space.
Sure.
They had 24 hours to prep a car.
Why are you trying to make this plausible? That's what I'm saying.
Sergio,
you don't have to work
idiots.
this hard.
They think we're idiots, and that's it. Go ahead, Susan. I'm sorry.
Okay, so maybe instead of because I'm trying to look on the bright side of things. I'm trying to stay positive about things. Okay. Sure. They're not calling us idiots. They're taking what they've doing and what they've been doing and embracing it. They know that it's ridiculous. They know that it's going to be ridiculous. Just hang on. They know that it's going to be ridiculous. They know that people are coming to watch ridiculousness, because I can tell you, aside from the show, I never would have gone to go watch this. Mm-hmm. But now it's like the ridiculousness and how hilarious it was for me to see this stuff, and how ridiculous it really was really entertaining for me. And it's not that I don't feel like I was directed as, hey, we think you're stupid and there's no possible way that this could happen. And like, I'm going to go out of there being angry, because I know that there's no way that could happen. Right. What I felt was, hey, listen, we're known for being ridiculous. So let's just take it and run with it. Because that's what people want to see. That's how I'm saying. That's how I felt it was. Because I think that if there were certain situations that, like, I mean, I get how you feel that way, but like for me, that's not what I saw at all. I saw a movie that was like, hey, let's see what we can do next. Because we're ridiculous, so let's just fucking be ridiculous. Let's be ridiculous to like 11. I
just feel like that's so cynical, though. I just feel like it's so cynical. And
on whose part?
On the filmmaker's part.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's so cynical on the filmmaker's part to again to go from 5 and 7 and 6 was okay. Like 6, they tried it. Just there was things that didn't quite work in 6. That's a whole other conversation. 7 was I really liked 7, and I know Vin Diesel and Jason Statham don't get along, and that's why they had to dump him. But fine, whatever. To go from there, and even 8, where like again, like they had that nice moment with Statham going through the plane and just being endearing and name one moment in this movie where anyone is remotely endearing. Like,
and again, I go back to answer your question, and I know maybe we're going to forever be on a different place in this.
Yeah,
I didn't go to this movie feeling like I needed to. I didn't need to have an endearing character. I didn't need things to be plausible. This was entertainment for entertainment's sake, and cynical or not, they're counting their money all the way to the bank as people go through this.
For the record,
that's
for
cool.
the record, I don't need any of the stunts to be plausible. I need the plot to be remotely plausible. Like just the plot to be remotely plausible,
in my opinion. So I wasn't because of how 8 went with plot being ridiculous. I fully expected that this was not going to be a movie I'm going to sit there and want to connect the dots like other movies we've reviewed.
Well, no, I know,
show.
but like Fast 5. I mean, it's not, it's like they gave us a bad guy that we hated and they stole his money. Yes, that's all I need. That's all I need. What the fuck is going on here?
I go back to what I said. They started out as just street racers.
I know.
Not that again. No, okay, but that's the point. And Janine, our friend, has made a comment about it. She agrees with me, especially with the rumored next one partnering with Jurassic Park, because what they're doing is they're going, hey, everybody thinks we're ridiculous. Let's show them what ridiculous really is now. Okay. And so they went to it there, and now the potential of the rumored, partnering with Jurassic Park is going to be even more ridiculous. And is there going to be a plot? No. Is there going to be action? Yes. Does anybody care? No.
And I don't want to be the turd in the punch bowl, but it's not going to happen, and not because Universal owns does Jurassic Park movies. I get it, but Steven Spielberg has a stake in the Jurassic Park movies, and there's no way he looks at Fast and Furious and is like, this is where I want to take Jurassic Park.
That's a great point. That's a great point when you know the studio system the way you do, Paul. But I think the bigger point here is, regardless of what happens, we're the further out we get from 7, the less time we should probably think about spending on plausibility of plot, because they've made a decision to go a certain direction. How do you come back from this? How do you bring it down because again, this movie at every level of this film, had I decided to just try to examine it from the standpoint of how we tend to review movies here, I would have hated this movie. I would have hated that. How many times did you hear me say each movie is getting longer? This one was 2 hours and 25 minutes.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I want to remind you, I love Hudson Hawk.
No, I know.
Okay?
No,
I don't need my movies to be, amazing. Like, I am more than willing to enjoy a really dumb, but that's the thing is, it can't be just nothing. There has to be something, and this movie doesn't have the something. It is just all nothing.
I think then
all
we
nothing.
Can agree that we went into it with 2 different lenses.
Okay, I hated the fucking MacGuffin. By the way, it's the of all MacGuffins in the history of MacGuffins in movies. What the? Oh my! All right. Let's move on. I'm gonna have a heart attack.
I'm afraid to ask, but since we need to, here on Real to Real Talk, we rate movies on a 5 taco system. A movie can get as many as 5 tacos, but if you want to give it some extra love, you can give it some extra guac. So, Paul, I'd like you to go last, if you don't mind. I'd like you to close it out for us.
Okay, I'll go last.
Because I'm going to say that for me, this movie gets a solid for action sequences only, nothing else. Just because I enjoyed the action and how ridiculous it was and how committed they are to the ridiculous, I'm giving this 3 tacos, no guac. It is one I'll watch again just because it is so amazingly ridiculous, and I had fun. I really did. So that's me. 3 tacos for F9, the Fast Saga. Susan.
So okay, this is really gonna make someone angry.
Oh Lord, I'm scared.
I hate action movies. You know I do.
Yeah.
But this was hilarious in the ridiculousness that it was. It had a really great, amazing action sequences. So I'm gonna go with 4 tacos because it was so far out of my wheelhouse and so far out of my comfort zone, and I still had a good time. So there.
I hated everything about this movie. It gets 0 tacos for me. I hated this movie. I literally I hated this movie. And it was when I was walking out the theater, my only thought was, did I hate this more than Too Fast, Too Furious? And it has been time that has convinced me that yes, I hated this more than Too Fast, Too Furious. And I loathed Too Fast, Too Furious. Like when that second movie ended, I'm like, I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna get through 9 of these.
6.
And then finally the third one was a little better than the second one. The fourth one was like leaps and bounds so much better than the first 3, but still not quite good. And then the 5th one was genuinely good. I want everybody to go watch Fast 5. Just go watch Fast 5 and just be like, don't go to the theater and see this heaping pile of shit. Just watch Fast 5 and be happy. Like that will give you every emotion that 9 is trying to give you without the condescending bullshit. So,
but as we like to say, we leave it to all of you.
I do not. I insist you not see this movie.
I have to. I'm gonna show this. This comment makes me so happy. Janine posts. Paul's is negative 10 tacos with a side of high blood pressure.
Wait until we get the very special what the hell did I just watch segment coming up next.
Well, I want to show the following because our friend Biffer the Hobbit went so far as to say
5.
Actually, well, yeah, he said that, but then he decided that it gets 5 tacos for fun factor, and that's all I'm saying. I'm only giving it 3.
And what I'm saying is, it is so pessimistic and condescending and anti everything that's good in the world. I can't fathom how anybody is sitting there like, oh yeah, this is fun.
Oh well.
I just don't get it.
Have our thoughts.
I know.
I
wish
38 minutes to.
I wish they had taken a page from 13th Warrior and made all of the action sequences in the dark so that nobody could watch them, see any of it.
Oh,
know
man.
What the hell?
Hey, listen.
I would have enjoyed that.
I can't imagine, Paul, that you sat through this entire film and didn't laugh, but I almost lost my shit when they put the diving helmets on in the Oh, I was like, of course.
Sergio, that made me so mad.
Okay, I want to share a hilarious moment because at least it was hilarious for me. I don't think it was hilarious for Sergio here because those of you who follow him know that there was an incident Saturday involving some yellow jackets. And so as Michelle Rodriguez or I think that's her, she's driving through on her motorcycle through the forest, she gets like bumped off, and I'm like, I leaned over and I was like, I wonder if she ran into any yellow jacket nests. And I just sat back up, like keeping a straight face. He went like this. But mind you, he was sitting here going, they started as street racers. I got that no less than 6 times.
Because of
so my one comment about yellow jackets, just for you.
And
I get my stab.
I went and saw this movie alone, and literally, I like John Cena would pop up on the screen, and I'd be like, okay, I'm not gonna say it this time. But like when he's on the screen for longer than like 30 seconds, I invariably just mumbled to myself, God, he's so bad. He is so bad. Oh
yeah. Nothing about his casting made sense. I mean, if we want to get into stuff like that, nothing about the casting him in this role made any sense.
And we're gonna.
I think Sergio had to wrote in or something because my sister Becca pointed out that there was an entire season where he traveled with a mini John Cena action figure.
Mini John Cena had a page. Little John.
I
Little
remember
Cena.
that.
Little John Cena
Oh
had
my
a Facebook
gosh.
page. Oh
He
yeah,
had
And
a
so
what?
she says
a
he
Facebook
had a
page.
Facebook page. So Becca
Little John
says
Cena.
resurrect Mini John Cena. So I guess you know what,
I
he's
might
gonna have
have
to be
to.
your podcast buddy, I guess.
He's gonna have to be right here on my shoulder every episode. So
You know what though? Like I'm sure Paul will say this, and I'm gonna take a stab and be like, hey, listen, Lil John Cena is still a better actor than regular John Cena.
Yeah. More range of emotion for sure. At the very
Little
least,
plastic
you will get something beyond.
I have nothing against John Cena. I have a lot against Vin Diesel with his little tiny mouth and his very slow talking.
I see. No,
yeah.
I would take Vin Diesel in every movie I ever have to watch for the rest of my life before I have to see another John Cena movie.
That's a new topic.
I promise you, John Cena. If they put John Cena in Star Wars, I will not go see that movie. Like this movie has me reconsidering whether or not I will actually go see the Suicide Squad because he's in it, and it's just like,
oh, is he?
oh God. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
I then will propose that episode 100 we revisit the Fast and Furious franchise. So
all right, that's fine.
How
We can
about-
do that.
How about no?
how about
Can we
not?
just do?
How
Can we
about
just do
no?
a look back at 5, 6, and 7, and just be like, "Hey, remember when they actually made something that was crazy fun instead of just crazy stupid?"
Oh man.
I hated this movie.
All right, we'll land that plane now as we finish our look at the Fast and Furious franchise. Don't forget, you can weigh in with your opinions, not just here during the show as we go live every single week, but at any of our social media stops. You can find us on Facebook at Real to Real Talk. Make sure you let us know what you're thinking about episodes that we have posted there, as well as any other information that we share. You can also find us on Instagram, where you can take a look back and see what kind of things we've talked about over the course of the last 75 episodes of Real to Real Talk. Also on YouTube, make sure if you haven't already, click subscribe so that you can be part of the Real to Real Talk family on YouTube, and click that notification bell so you know when our episodes land, and like the episodes. You don't got to like the movies. You got to just like the fact that we talk about them. So make sure we give us some likes, and we will keep producing content for you week to week. It's time now for this week's segments. And Paul, I'm excited because I want to know what the hell you watched this week.
It's a very special what the hell did I just watch? So every once in a while, when you're watching movies at home that you haven't seen before, like on cable or something, and you get through the first half hour or so and you're like, yeah, this isn't for me. And you just stop watching it. And I saw the first 30 minutes and there's no way this thing turned around, and I can just, rest assured that I know the rest of this movie, and I don't need to watch the rest of it. But for the 75th episode, I decided to go back and watch the final hour and whatever of a movie that I had only ever seen the first 30 minutes of, but I ridicule constantly. And that movie was Waterworld.
You did not.
I did.
What?
I just watched Waterworld.
That's
I'm in shock.
amazing. That's amazing.
Woo!
God, that movie sucks. What the hell is that movie?
Which is worse?
Oh, F9.
I'll take it.
F9 for sure. It's worse.
Wait, you got to throw the 13th Warrior in there somewhere. So which one of the three?
13th Warrior is better than Waterworld. Waterworld is better than F9.
Whoa!
Hey, that's a win. I'll take it.
No.
Hey!
No.
Wait. So of the three, 13th Warrior? Did you just?
Yeah.
Did I just?
Wait.
13th.
I
Well,
want to hear
okay.
talk about
None of them
Waterworld.
are up here, so they're all down here. So 13th
They're the last
Warrior,
three of the list.
Waterworld, F9. So, yeah, I mean, what is this movie? Like,
It's amazing.
what the hell were they thinking?
This was Kevin Costner's Academy Award for acting.
Oh my God. I don't get it. Like, why did they retcon the Exxon Valdez? Like, why would they do that? Why would they do that? I
Cool
don't get
reveal, though. If you watched this when it came out, That was a hilarious reveal. So,
Why? It crashed into Alaska, and I understand it's a commentary on like, oh, we shouldn't be doing these sort of things, but it wouldn't still be seaworthy. Like they junked it after it crashed. So basically, they're retconning the past of the history of the Exxon Valdez. Why would you do that? Why is there a guy in living down in the gas and the oil? And why? He would be dead. You can't live in an enclosed space in floating in oil, especially if you're old. No, not overthinking. It's bad. It's just so dumb. Oh God, that movie hurt my head, and I have never seen a good actor give a worse performance than Dennis Hopper in that movie. Dennis Hopper in that movie is fucking bad. I mean, like Helen Mirren was amazing in F9. She was by far honestly, I would probably give F9 a half a taco if we could give half tacos, just because it had an awesome Helen Mirren turn in it.
I agree.
But like Charlize Theron was horrible in F9, but actually her performance in F9 is better than Dennis Hopper in Waterworld. Like Dennis Hopper mails this thing in, and like, because the thing is with Charlize Theron, she didn't need to be on set very long. She probably put in like a week and a half of work, if that. Whereas Dennis Hopper had to be there. Like that movie hinged on Dennis Hopper working and being like committed to something, and not just being like a caricature of Dennis Hopper bad guys. And he was just basically, what the hell is that movie? How, like, I have never wanted to be on, in a studio more than when Waterworld's being made and the dailies are coming back and they're like, I mean, I just can't imagine like, oh my God, what's going on? Is there any way to stop this thing from happening?
Yeah. It's I don't. Again, we go back to the same old thing that happens so often on the show. Yeah. I enjoyed it because it was a fun movie to watch.
It's not
actiony,
and it has
great use of jet skis.
Why are the jet skis? Why?
Because
you
water.
You can't just take what's in the Exxon Valdez and power jet skis with it.
In the movie, you can.
You're throwing fuel into the fire, Sergio. Stop.
It doesn't work.
In this movie, you can.
No, you can't. You can't do it. And everybody knows that. Things I liked. I liked the idea of just like a floating tree. That was fun. Like there's just like this floating island, like city with a tree growing in the middle of it. That was kind of cool. Although, like, I don't think enough was made of the floating tree. Like, I feel like there would have been a big deal about, like, we have a floating tree. Like that, I think
I forgot that was even a thing.
Yeah. I like that they, like, recycle their people by putting them in a sludge. Like, that's always fun. That's about it. Like, what, how are horses still living on this, like, the dry land? How, what? Like, there's horses frolicking in this. It's like, no, there wouldn't be horses frolicking on. If you watch the like outtakes, you find out that is like actually Mount Himalaya, the Himalayas, and that's Mount Everest. But it's like, no, there wouldn't be horse. Like, how did they get there? Stop it. Treat me like an adult.
So highly recommend.
I hate it. Yeah, Waterworld's a weird, fucked up movie, man. Like to sit through the whole thing, that is a weird experience.
Hey, kudos to you for going back and visiting it.
It's just if you have not seen Waterworld and want to see like the hubris of 1990s Kevin Costner, watch Waterworld. That
watch
is
The Postman.
Oh, do not watch that. That's more than anybody should have to suffer through.
Okay, I have to ask you this. I know how you feel about Kevin Costner, but do you give any sort of anything good to Dances with Wolves?
Yeah, actually, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, every once in a look, that's the thing about Kevin Costner is like every once in a while he's okay. He's great in Capone.
Yeah,
Sean
the
Connery.
Untouchables.
Untouchables. He's great. I love him in Untouchables. That's the
Yeah,
problem. though.
he's so
This is my
plain in
Kevin
that movie,
Costner
though.
theory, by the way, is
Yeah.
that you see him in a movie and you like him in the movie, and then every other movie after that, you're like, wait a second, he's just doing the same guy from before, and then it's like, he's still just doing the same guy from before. Wait a second, he's still doing the same guy from before,
what,
and then
for
it's just
me-
like, oh fuck, Kevin Costner.
That's
He's
what
just
for
doing
me
the
is so
same guy.
infuriating about Bull Durham, because I love Bull Durham as a film.
Yeah.
But he's just, yeah.
So,
Anywho.
but again, I would take Kevin Costner in every movie I ever watch for the rest of my life before having to watch another John Cena movie. I fucking hate him that much.
All right. Next week's episode will be a profile on the films of John Cena.
Oh my god.
Not really.
Oof.
Not
Oofa.
really.
Look at the time. Gotta go.
Yeah, no. So there you go, Waterworld.
There you go.
Fucked up.
All right. You can find
Very
out what
weird.
craziness Paul watches every week when you join us in the segment called What the Hell Did I Just Watch? Paul, thank you again for your
And
contribution.
Just for Biffer, I too have seen Train to Busan, and it's amazing. And thank God it doesn't have John Cena or Kevin Costner in it.
I love Train to Busan. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that was a
It
good
builds
flick.
tension very well.
Yeah, good movie.
All right. Susan, week to week, we follow you on your journey as you watch more and more movies, and we like to call the segment Susan Finally Saw. Susan, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, so I went into to the last Fast and the Furious movie completely unprepared because I've never seen any of them. And so I decided as a surprise, I'm going to start it. I'm going to see Fast and the Furious, the first one. And I was like, yeah.
They were
Has nothing to
They
do
were
with
street racers.
Yeah. Has nothing to do with where the movies are now at all.
And the ridiculousness, while toned down, or I guess it hadn't grown yet, the ridiculousness was still there. It was just, yeah. Different places, yeah, different things, but all in all, not my favorite movie, but not terrible either. So I guess it's good. I still think Vin Diesel's mouth is too small for his face, and I still think he talks really slow. And it makes me insane. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was
All
like, I'm
right.
gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
The one that
And
started it all?
20 years ago.
Not really, because it has nothing to do with any of the other movies.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing is that this movie, The Fast and the Furious, could easily have been a standalone, never to become a franchise, and I would have been just fine.
Yeah, the
Just
world would
fine.
have been a better place. So Susan, you missed our conversation on it last week, but so we'll just refer to people. Sergio and I had a whole conversation on the Fast and the Furious. So I won't. We don't need to spend any more time on that.
No, we sure don't. Agreed.
All right. Well, Susan, we'll look forward to see what you hear or what you think next week when you finally see the second movie in the installment.
Not.
All right. That is this week Susan Finally Saw. And we thank you, as always, Susan, for sharing your movie watching journey with us here on the show. For myself, it is time for this week's real-time rewind. And I've been talking weather movies this month, movies about weather. Twister, and what was the other one I did? Trying to recall.
The Perfect Storm.
Nice.
Perfect Storm. Yes. And since this is the last episode of June, I will finish out this series by talking about and reminding everyone about a little movie called The Day After Tomorrow.
Yes.
The Day After Tomorrow was nothing but weather, extreme weather. And it was one of those movies that came out amidst a slate of movies about apocalyptic happenings on Earth, whether it be meteors or weather or whatever the case might be. And it starred one Jake Gyllenhaal and a cast of others. It's a fun movie. There's some fantastic sequences, whether that's how weather would work or not, doesn't matter, because it's just a fun, exciting watch. And things get destroyed. And at the end of the day, everything's going to be fine.
And can I just say this is a perfect example of a dumb action movie that I enjoy because it's enjoyable and there are fun things happening as opposed to others that we may have already discussed in this podcast at length.
With the number 9 in the title.
But yeah, I mean, the wolves tracking the people down in the library. That's the greatest thing ever.
Oh my God, it's so funny. They're destroying like so much literature to stay warm. But yeah, it's a fun film. I really enjoy it, and so I had to include it in this series for this month. We'll see what next month holds for Real Time Rewind. But check it out day after tomorrow, today.
And thank you for not doing Geostorm.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. That'll be next week. So. All right. Well, gosh, guys, it's been 75 episodes.
75.
And, you know, I think back to where this all began, and believe it or not, Reel to Real Talk actually began as part of a previous podcast. It was extra episodes attached to the Random Riff that I used to do, and the very first episode of Reel to Real Talk actually happened on July 5th, 2019. So we are very close to being in this experience for almost 2 years and 75 episodes. It kind of speaks to the notion of we've had to pause now and then, but we always circle back and we always talk about things. Thank you to those of us who are giving us recognition there, Diana, Janine. It's been a fun journey, and my favorite part, of course, is that I can look back to the early episodes, and you know, it was first intended to be every week a different guest. So my friend Kristen Smith, my friend Anise, others have helped me to get the journey off the ground, so to speak. And Paul, you were very instrumental in that as we got together and talked about the Matrix franchise.
Yes.
Very early on. And Susan, a few weeks later, you and I got together to talk about The Fifth Element. And back then it was about having someone on to talk about movies they loved. And that is what brought us all together. So my take as I look back on the 75 episodes total is to say thank you to the both of you for committing yourselves to this journey and making it a really fun experience. So I want to give you guys an opportunity to kind of share your thoughts about how you feel now that we've reached this milestone of 75 episodes.
Yeah, it is definitely an interesting experience for me. So
we made her watch F9 for fuck's sake.
No, so if you do get to go back on any of the social medias and you get to like listen in to because before we were video face-to-face podcast, we were just, you know, audio only. If you go back and listen to some of the episodes, my regular appearance started out as a project. Susan finally saw that I wasn't part of the main topic most of the time. I was just you know, talking about the movies that I finally got to see, because I have a list of 150 movies. By the way, if you've got more, please make recommendations and I will add them to my list of stuff that I need to watch. But I started out, I mean, maybe every month, once a month, maybe. And
something like that, yeah.
And I lent a voice to the intro, and I just kind of, I never expected to be a part of something like this that's regular, that's time consuming. I mean, not time consuming. You know what I mean, though? Like I didn't ever expect to be a part of something long term, is what I mean to say. And so it's really kind of a great and like all inspiring, you know, to realize we've made it 75 episodes and I've been here for most of them, and that's kind of awesome. So, I mean, thank you guys, of course, for inviting me to be here, because I didn't, and there are days when I don't feel like I'm like, they know so much about movies and I don't really know so much about movies. And, you know, that's kind of part of what I've had to get over myself. And, you know, so thanks for making me a part of it. And I would not ever change back. Yeah, sometimes. And I mean, you know, I liked Waterworld, so I guess I'm on your good graces.
Oh man.
Okay.
I didn't hate it. How's that? I didn't hate it. How's that?
Okay. I don't know why anybody wouldn't, but no. On it, Sergio, thank you for after we did the Star Wars Episode 9 podcast. You came to me and said, "Hey, I kind of think we should do this every week, and would you be willing to join me every week?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'd be willing to." That was great.
That was literally the convo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like you came to me like this is a huge favor. It's like no, me talking and about movies. That's not a favor. That you're doing me a favor, and really you do me a favor by bringing me back every week. It's so much fun. I look forward to it every week, and I have so much fun. And I just love that the way that the What the Hell That I Just Watched came about, and I have got to watch some really weird shit and that I just would never have watched. Like there's no reason for me to watch Waterworld or Suspiria or there's like a million movies that not a million but like there's 75 or maybe 65 movies that I've watched that there was just I would have never watched them. I mean, I think about probably my oddest favorite is still The Apple, that the musical about the God, I loved that so much. And that's another example of a fun, stupid movie. Like, go watch The Apple. If you're thinking maybe I should go watch F9, no, just go watch The Apple from 1970, whatever, and enjoy your time instead of with F9. But anyway, no, it's so much fun. I love talking about movies with you guys. It's great.
Yeah, it has been a lot of fun, and it's been great to see not only our collaboration grow, but Susan, as you've continued to add to your library of movies you've seen, and Paul, as you dive deeper and deeper into the weird. It's just it makes for a fun experience. But I think the three of us would agree that it would not be possible if it weren't for the fantastic folks that tune in week to week. That jumped with us from audio to video and made us feel like it was all good. And it's I'll do it for however long people watch, and probably longer.
I was gonna say I'm doing this for us three. I don't, I want other people to be entertained by what we say, and hopefully they are. But at the very least, at least the three of us get together and have fun talking.
It has become a family affair, that is for sure. So congratulations to Real Talk for. Okay, that was horrible. For 75 episodes. Thank all of you for watching week to week. Paul, Susan, I already look forward to next week, even though I don't know what the heck we're talking about. Oh, wait. No, wait, that's in a couple of weeks. Black Widow's coming out soon.
Yeah.
Other movies that we'll be reviewing. And with that said, we thank all of you for joining us here tonight on our 75th episode of Real to Real Talk. We love that you join us, but most importantly, we share with you as always. You're awesome. You're amazing, and the world's a better place because you are in it. We will see you next time on